and welcome to my channel. I'm Jasmine and today I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my hair because, well, my hair's looked exactly the same as it does right now since I started my channel in September, and I'm sure some people might be wondering what my hairstyle is, why it looks exactly the same this whole time, because as you can probably tell, it's not just like loose curls or an afro or anything, it's a bit different. So yeah, I thought I would just talk a little bit about that. If anyone's interested, then continue watching. So my hair's a bit curly at the moment because I was twisting it last night so that it could look a bit more curly, but if you can see, it kind of looks like plaits with curls at the end, and that's basically what it is at this stage. They're called Braidlocs, which is kind of a newer thing, I feel like. So you've probably all heard of dreadlocks and like more traditional locks. You might have heard of sister locks as well. But there's another form, well, there are several other forms, but one of them is micro lock. So what I have is kind of a form of micro lock, but braid locks are really just locks started with braids. So in April of this year, I put all of my hair in plaits. My mum helped me too, but we put all of my hair in plaits and basically just left it like that. The reason that the ends of my hair is quite curly is just because I didn't plait them right to the end because it was a bit difficult to do, and I didn't mind this look, and I still don't mind it. I kind of like it and it helps. I like my hair looking curly and having some of my natural hair out as well. I'm not sure how long it will be before this is no longer as visible, as in all my hair turns into locks, but it typically takes about a year before it even starts locking, because there are a few stages and processes that it needs to go through before it can start turning into locks, which is slower than, I guess, traditional locks and dreadlocks would be, or even sister locks, which are kind of instant, which I didn't really mind because I'm very indecisive and I didn't know if I was gonna really commit to this. So I was like, well, if I start them with plaits, I have quite a while before I have to be like, okay, it's like final, it's decided, so I could really undo these and take them out anytime. But I don't want to right now. I'm kind of quite happy with how it's looking. It's quite easy to manage and I'm kind of, yeah, quite satisfied with it, and I kind of want to see how it turns out when it does start locking. I also didn't want to do traditional dreadlocks because they tend to start bigger and then end up quite thick, and I didn't want that. I wanted quite small and more uniform ones as well. I think you can do traditional locks smaller, but I just thought, let me try something that will definitely not grow too much and will be quite simple for me to do at home as well, because I didn't go to a hairdresser to do this. I did them at home and it took a couple of days to do them, but it was kind of quite straightforward and quite simple and cheap, of course, as well. What else? So yeah, like I said, I just used plaits to do them, and I started them, I think it was April 19th of this year, 2020. So it's been almost 7 months actually, which is quite strange. This year has absolutely been a blur. It doesn't feel like it, but it has been almost 7 months, which is very strange to think of. And it hasn't grown much. I can put in photos from when I first started around here. But what actually happens is you do it, your hair might start growing, but then when it starts locking, the hair kind of buds up and gets tighter and starts shrinking before it can grow again, which is a bit strange, and I don't think that's happened yet. It just hasn't started growing at all. So eventually, just as it's about to start locking, I think my hair will start shrinking and then it will start growing into locks, if that makes sense. Sorry if it doesn't, but that's basically what's gonna happen. Hopefully by April next year, but if it takes a bit longer, I don't really mind too much. It just, I guess, makes things a bit boring because I do look exactly the same because my hair hasn't grown long enough to like properly tie into a ponytail or to do fancy styles, so I kind of just leave it like this most of the time. I really just wanted to try something different. I've really liked the look of locks for a long time. I've seen loads of people with it, some family members, some celebrities and other people, and I just thought that looks really cool. I'd like to try it for myself. I'm also a bit lazy sometimes and kind of frustrated when it comes to my hair. So my hair last year before I did this, when it was out, it took quite a lot of maintenance and it was just kind of quite time consuming, especially in the mornings when I was rushing to uni or college, and I'm not very good at timekeeping with this kind of things. So I wanted to do something that was a bit lower maintenance, or I didn't have to look after as regularly, if that makes sense. In terms of starting my locks, the reason that I didn't do it at hairdressers or go to a professional was, one, because one of the hairdressers I spoke to said that this isn't a way to start locks, you shouldn't do it this way. And I think a lot of people who are locticians or who are hairdressers or know a lot about hair have certain standards for things, so they would prefer if I started with traditional locks or did sister locks. And I did consider doing sister locks, but it's very expensive, and I would have to go to professional and I wouldn't be able to maintain it myself. And as a fairly independent person, I wanted to be able to maintain it myself. So I was like, well, whatever, I'll just do my own research and work it out myself, and which I did. So I looked at YouTube quite a lot, was watching people talk about their journeys, how they started their locks, how they've maintained it. And I just thought, well, let me just do it. So yeah, it was mainly about time, so I can do I can do this whenever I want. It allows me to be more independent, and it's cheaper as well. So those are the main reasons that I decided to do it myself. So for these, you put them in, and then I wash them weekly, and then it's about every 6 to 8 weeks that you're supposed to retighten or retwist them. So for some locks, that might involve literally just twisting them around so that they can stay tighter. For sister locks, I don't know how that works, and I don't think anyone does unless you're trained. So that's a special kind of method. But for mine, I use this little interlocking tool that I got on Amazon. I can put the link in the description if anyone who's watching this is interested and wants to know where to get these from. They were quite cheap, 2 came in the little bag. So yeah, I would take one and push it through like that, and then I take the little needle and the root of my hair and I push it through and then pull it out that way. I'm not going to do it because it's quite tight. I was retwisting them like last week. So you push it through and you do that once going that way, once going that way, and another time going that way to get one like knot at the top of my hair. So I might do that like 10 times just on one plait, basically, just to kind of keep it tight and so that it stays uniform and doesn't start merging into the braid next to it, because then that can cause a few problems and I might end up needing to cut them or separate them, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, that's how I retighten my hair. I use this, which, as you can probably guess, is quite a lengthy process, but if you're watching something and your arm doesn't hurt too much, then it's kind of alright to do. I have gotten them retightened once at the hairdressers in September, and I think I might do that every other time I retwist them, just because I don't want to pay every time I do it. And sometimes it's better to get a professional to look over it. So I briefly kind of spoke about maintenance in terms of I wash it every week, I interlock it every 6 to 8 weeks when I remember, because you don't want to leave it too long so that there's loads of hair that's grown out at the roots, because then it can start clumping together again or just look a bit too messy and frizzy, which I don't particularly like. But if you do it too regularly, you can end up weakening the hair follicles and breaking down the plaits, which you definitely don't want to do. So 6 to 8 weeks is a decent kind of period of time to leave it before you interlock or retwist them. And originally, when I was first researching, people were saying that you should wash your hair as least often as possible, so leaving it like a month or 3 weeks or something, and that wasn't for me. Sometimes that does help, but a lot of things are just a myth, which was one of the most difficult things when I was doing my research. Lots of contradictory and hypocritical statements and people not saying the same thing and sharing the same opinions, so me just trying to do a bit of trial and error and working things out for myself. But washing it regularly every week or slightly less works for me, because my hair, if you're not that familiar with natural hair, then it doesn't grow oil as much, or it doesn't give off as much oil as other hair textures and types do. So washing it weekly is perfectly fine and healthy and normal and clean, just so you know. So yeah, that's how often I wash it, and I put some extra oil in my scalp if it's feeling a bit dry. So, am I going to leave my hair like this forever? The short answer is I don't know, because like I said before, I'm quite indecisive and I don't always know how long it's going to be before I'm unhappy with something. So whether it's painting my nails and not wanting them to, or getting bored of them and wanting to take it off, or liking to change up my hair, which I did before I'd done this, so I like to do different styles with it, which is kind of limited at the moment. I'm not sure if I will keep these in for a long time. I want to wait until they at least lock and see how I like them, see how they fare, and see how long it takes for them to grow before I make more of a decision of whether I'm going to keep them in or try and take them out, because by the time they've locked it might be quite difficult for me to take them out without cutting off all my hair, which will be quite a big step, but I might look fine, I don't know. So that's a bit of worry and concern for me at the moment, but I'm quite happy with it now, and I like to think I'll be happy with it, especially when it actually locks and starts growing. So yeah, for now I am going to be leaving it in, and we'll see how that goes. And in terms of my hair length goal, I honestly just want it quite long, like if I move back. So right now, because it's curly and a little bit shrunken because I just washed it, it's kind of coming down to my chin, and if I pull that hair, then it kind of comes to my shoulder a little bit, or behind me. I don't know if you can see anything here, but it comes like that. You probably couldn't see that very well, but yeah, so it's fairly short, but it's a decent length, and I think my friends and some of my family have told me that it has grown since I installed them. But because it's on my head, I can't exactly tell. But I would like to have them around here, I think would be a nice length. So goodness knows how long that's going to take. It could take like 3 years, it could take 5. Hopefully it doesn't take that long, but if it does, that's just part of the process. So yeah, I'm hoping for it to grow quite long, because as I'm sure you might know, locks grow quite quickly, or people with dreadlocks tend to have quite long hair when it's fully developed. So I'm looking forward to that. That's probably all the questions that I'll be answering right now, because as you can probably tell, my knowledge is a little bit limited because I haven't had these in for that long, and this is kind of a bit of trial and error and a bit of just my personal experience. I'm not talking from a professional point of view whatsoever. I'm just talking about my own account and experience and journey so far. So I think I might be documenting my lock journey a little bit, or I'll try to if I remember. I'll at least be showing when it does start locking and updates for when it like really starts to grow. Or if anyone has any specific questions or wants to see properly how I interlock my hair next time I do that, then I can film those videos too. But I hope this was somewhat interesting or useful to know, so you can know why my hair looks the exact same as it did 2 months ago, that I do wash it, that I do take care of it and such. I hope you're having a nice day and have a nice weekend. So I'll see you in my next video, and bye for now.